All right, let's have a look at you, Gemini. What's going on? Okay, let's get started. Okay, that's you, Gemini, over here. This is Tarot Lumination, and this is your mini generic love and relationship report for January 2019. I'm just going to go through the drill because I have to in case you're new here. Some people have come here before. So just the basics. I'm going to shuffle while we're going so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. I'm sorry about that. So there is a description box below this video. If you want information, please go to the box below. A lot of links are there. First of all, we have First Friday, group healing event. So check that out. It's very modest cost, and we hang out with Terra Illumination Live doing this weird custom boutique artisanal yoga stuff. Okay, not like anything you've seen before. Next, if you're interested in shopping, if you like shopping, check out the merch. If you want that beautiful satin silk scarf, check the link. If you want that book about January 2020 and you really want to be prepared, check the link. If you want a personal reading, check the links. If you want to, I would highly recommend checking the playlist for the Astrodoodles. That's a separate playlist altogether. Okay, that'll come at the end of the video probably. Singles, you guys can watch this too if you really want, although it's built for relationships, okay? But with the laws of attraction, the way we do this spread, you could interpret it as, what are you radiating? What are you attracting back to you? So what's the potential of what's out there? The other thing is, of course, do the cross watch for significant others, and also watch for your sun, moon, and rising if they are all different, and see which is most the dominant and what makes most sense, and then reinterpret everything to suit yourself, okay? So these readings are for you. I'm not telling you how to live your life or make your decisions. I'm just trying to give you some information to help, okay? So let me just go to a couple things here. Gemini, in some ways, you're a little bit off the hook compared to everybody, a lot of people, because the eclipses, it's a very, very big dynamic month for everybody. But in your situation, the big news about the eclipses are sort of not directly hitting on your key relationship areas, except for the areas of deep intimacy, shared resources, which would happen at the depths of an existing relationship, okay? Like joint bank accounts or like making babies or things like that. Over here, but here's the interesting thing for you, Gemini, is over here in your seventh house of marriage or open enemies, however you want to look at it. Venus enters Sagittarius, hanging out with Jupiter from the seventh onward. Okay, it's for about a month or so. But Jupiter is going to be there for another 9 months or so, at least for you. So that's very, very sweet for you, Gemini. It's opening up a lot of new horizons, new opportunities, new expansions, new abilities to see and consider relationships in faraway places, foreigners, foreign places, new wisdom and understanding, traveling more regarding relationships, and having Venus there, making it extra sweet. Anyway, let's go for it. I'm not going to say anything more. If you want more about the Astrodoodles, check the whole other playlist, okay? So we're going to use the Terra Illumination Crucible spread. I hope you understand. There is you, Gemini. There is a significant other, and then there's a third entity, not another person, but it is a third entity called the relationship. It does exist. It has its own energy, identity, mission, and purpose, and you guys own it. And a crucible is a structure which can withstand intense pressure as it goes through chemical reactions. So just like in a human relationships are intense for creating alchemical reactions between ourselves and another, and a lot of that to do with our own growth and evolution. Cards are well shuffled. We're going to cut it all up now. Bless the deck. Bless every single card. Bless you, Gemini. Bless Terra Illumination that we can even do this at all. Please say thank you by becoming a member. That's the best thing. Let's just jump into it. You'll see what happens in a moment. Over here, what are you radiating, Gemini? Okay, think of yourself like a cell phone. Okay, what are they radiating? Okay, remember, this is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Gemini, and we are allowing for the presence of a significant other. What about you radiating at the core, heart and soul? What about them? What about the core itself, the relationship? Here you can see the crucible. This is the structure, okay, in which you guys are conducting the relationship. There is the bowl, and you guys are in it, okay? It's sort of like this. Some people would call it a marriage. Some people call it a relationship or a live-in thing or something very significant and chosen and deliberate. And that's where you guys intimate and separate, okay? So that's why we do it this way, all right? And it's a living thing. You own it like a business. So what are you creating? What is being fostered here? Let's go to the next step. We're going to get into this in a second, but we're going to look at environmental influences, circumstantial energies around you that can affect things. Think of the planets, think of the eclipses, friends, family, history, legacy, obligations, whatever it is. We're going to look at it, call it the weather. So you have the Nine of Swords. All right, so my feeling is that in a very, very fragile way, you might be unaware of the potential challenges that can come with relationships this month because of what's going on here. I don't want to dwell too much on the 8th house energy here, but it's very deep and it might be very hard to understand, and you might be feeling stressful about it before it's even happening. With the eclipses, there's no way out of it. You're going to be moved into this and go through the gateway and then come out the other side. That's where I'm sensing a bit of the Nine of Swords sense of fear and panic and anxiety, because you might not be prepared for that. You might be feeling things are so sweet or have a chance to be sweet because of all this nice energy here in the 7th house. So please be aware that there are potential challenges coming for you in the month. And it's very possible that you could show signs of anxiety, they could show signs of anxiety, or the relationship itself could be under a lot of pressure and you guys are not even aware of it. Okay, but it's important. My feeling is that heaven is saying to you, Gemini, you need to be aware that there are issues that are going to come up, and we're just helping you, let you know. We're sending you messages of fear. Like, you need to be aware, and fear is a very powerful message to wake you up. Like, uh-oh, something is at risk. We need to do something about it. And then when you focus energy on it, then you can figure out what it is and then have a chance to heal it. Over here, what are you radiating? Okay, the Hermit. So as sweet as I described it with the Venus and Jupiter there over there in your 7th house, if you have not been prepared for it, then all the potential greatness of it, if it's coming out in anything that's less than awesome, you might be feeling the inverse of all that energy. And Jupiter is so expansive and the Venus is so sweet, so you might be becoming aware of everything that is not so expansive and not so sweet, and that might be what's a little bit intimidating. And it might be, let's say, having exactly the opposite effect that tarot illumination would normally or ascribe to a Jupiter-Venus combo in the 7th house, to the point where you would want to retreat and go deep within simply to try and figure out what the heck is going on in my love life and in my relationships, okay? So I just want to check something else here. Let's leave it at that. We can just check the other playlist. So you might not be very comfortable. This energy does not feel very comfortable for me to read to you, Gemini, in that, in the context of a relationship, the idea is that you're with them and they're with you, and it's supposed to be a together thing. You make decisions together. You foster them, they foster you. It's like owning a business, and it's a joint ownership. Now, the thing is with the Hermit here, you might be feeling just the opposite because, energy and planets can express in exactly the inverse of their other expression. And that you might have been caught off guard in that way. Let's have a look. What are they radiating over here? The 5 of Wands. So my feeling is that the intentions are good here, Gemini, from a significant other. And you might be stressing out more than you need to. Like, if you're not used to having such expansive energies and opportunities opening up to you in a relationship dynamic, and it's wigging you out, you're dealing with someone over here who looks like they're able to handle it in their own way. With the 5 of Wands, there's a lot of strength and energy there that is being expressed under pressure, where the pressure is actually, because they're involved in the relationship too. It's you and the significant other. And in some ways, this is good for them. You might be struggling and feeling like ostracized in some way, but they might actually be rising to the occasion and kind of enjoying this wave. Because let's attribute this energy here, the seventh house stuff, let's attribute that to the other. And they are enjoying the benefits of the Venus and Jupiter combo. Like, sweet, man, this is sweet. It's just like, wow, I get to do something cool and be useful, and this is making me better as a person, making me better for you, making me better for me, making me better for the relationship, which is better for us. That's the kind of energy that I'm sensing here, okay, from the other Gemini. All right. Now let's have a look deep down inside of you. What's radiating here? Okay, the world. So again, I get this feeling of having been caught off guard. Like, it's almost like, why couldn't you, Terra Lumination, make a whole bunch of special videos just for Geminis to get us ready for January 2019? Because this isn't fair. It's like, wait a minute, what's happening? Nobody told us about how this was going to be. Well, Terra Lumination can only do so much. I'm sorry. We try, okay? So with the world energy here, my feeling is that you might be getting swept along in ways like big wave surfing in a way. Like, pretend you had all the best of intentions, and using the surf analogy, you're out there and all of a sudden you're in big surf, big wave energy. And you're like, wait a minute, I never planned for this. I don't have the right surfboard. I don't have the right looks. I don't have the right suit. I don't even have the skills. I'm going to get wiped out. Everything is going to be over before it's even started. And like, where did I have a decision in all of this? You might be feeling as though you're getting swept along in such a way that there's a lot of things that are ending over which you really, you maybe didn't want to have happen, and things that are being concluded in a way that seems like, well, wait a minute, why didn't anybody give us some notes in advance? This is very strong energy of, what could be called fated, in such a way that you're getting swept along and you don't have a kind of a choice. And so you're just having to go with the flow. And it's a very, very strong flow. It's like, if you want to, you can think of the eighth house as an extension of the seventh house. I think we hinted at that earlier. And so you might be getting swept into much deeper water with the energy of relationships in a way that you had never really knew existed or anticipated. And that can really, it's very scary when you do big wave surfing and you get trapped under. It's scary because you get exposed to energies you've never encountered before. And that can happen in relationships. You can go much deeper than you ever knew relationships could go. And so one way of being is over and another way of being begins. But that's happening. In some ways, part of you is wishing for that, and now you're getting your wish. It's just that when it's actually granted and it happens in the way that it's happening, it might not be happening in the way that you want it. Okay, I hope that makes sense too. So let's have a look. What about them inside? The Hierophant. Okay, there's a lot of big energy here. Goodness. So with the Hierophant, my feeling for you, Geminis, you're dealing with a significant other over here who is actually, let's just say, maybe a little bit set in their ways about how things should be in the way they should be, and they are sticking to it, and they really, really want to stick to it in a way that would be considered respectable, honorable, truthful, just, to a higher order than just, like dating or like hooking up or whatever. From their perspective, it's like what they're more interested in is something of substance, something very deep, something very real, very profound, where it is done according to the book, where it is not, it's almost like it's like having marriage type energy where you subscribe to the codes of a marriage, and they write the vows, and then you honor and live through a relationship that has structure and vows and rules and regulations in order to maintain the structure and the value of a relationship, rather than having a free floating kind of romance here. And so with their energy here deep down in the core, they might be wanting something very substantial, like that eighth house energy I was talking about, Capricorn there, in the eighth house of deep intimacy, making it much more solid and real and nothing too lightweight. And that could be very intimidating. You know, that could really scare people. Like some people, when they want to get really serious, that can actually scare someone else away, even though that might be what they thought they wanted. It's like, uh-oh, I didn't realize it was going to be like this when it was that serious. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Hold on. All right, so let's have a look. What's going on over here? John at the core. The King of Cups. Now, remember, this is not a couples reading. It's for you, Gemini. So my feeling is that in some ways, this whole thing, I know it's to me this is it seems very counterintuitive, but with this whole thing over here of the Venus Jupiter thing in your seventh house, it looks so positive, but because Jupiter expands everything it touches, and Venus is there making it sweet, what could be expanded is everything and anything that was not apparent before January 2019, and that could be scary to the point where you're almost like wigging out here to the point where I can't handle this, I'm out of here. And yet the relationship itself is radiating energy of King of Cups. To me, this is a message that you're actually doing the best you can. They're actually doing the best they can. And it's putting the relationship under a lot of pressure to maintain what would be considered a loving relationship, where the King of Cups energy has to be invoked, has to be brought to the surface, has to come into play, so that this can't be treated as an immature or naive relationship. In other words, the King of Cups is going to have to come out here where it's like the relationship is going to be fully exposed for what is working and what is not working. According to them, what works for them, according to them, what works and does not work for you. And so that could put a lot of pressure on the relationship, on you, on the other, and the relationship, and coming at it from both sides. And you might have been caught off guard by all of this. And so the King of Cups would, normally be, I could think of it as an energy where they're maintaining very high levels of integrity when it comes to emotional mastery, being very, very good at being very, very compassionate under extreme pressure, for example. King energy, it's a very heavy crown to wear. Everybody might think they want that or that's cool, but there's a lot of obligation, commitments, and responsibilities that go with king energy. Forget the gender, just with that degree of power and responsibility. And so my feeling is that you're being called out, Gemini, to the max here about what's going on in your relationship, what's going on with you, what's going on with the other, and having to maintain the integrity of love as you define it in your relationship, whatever it is your definition of love might be. Tarot Illumination has a definition. I will share it for a moment, just so we have a reference point, but you can have your own definition. With Tarot Illumination, love is as love does. Love would be a willful, deliberate decision to consciously go above and beyond your existing comfort zone in the relationship in order to deliberately foster and nurture the spiritual growth and healing of number one, thyself, and as a side effect, a very desirable side effect, the spiritual growth and healing of the significant other. And so it becomes a loving thing. So it's like a living, breathing, loving thing. And then that permeates and ripples to the world around you, your family, your loved ones, your friend, your environment, your home. So that's the Tarot Illumination perspective, an idea of love. And you might have a different idea. So help yourself. What is being fostered here? What are you guys growing? Okay, there's so much what I would call fated energy here, where if you feel you're out of control in January, Gemini, don't worry about it. It might be just that this is how it is, and there's no point in taking it personally. So with the Hanged Man here, my feeling is that January it's such a dynamic, like tumultuous month with the two big eclipses and the massive Capricorn stellium, and to me it looks like it's taking you not just to the limits of your abilities, but beyond it, where you'd actually don't know what to do. You have not been prepared for this, and it's leaving you caught off guard, and it's taking you and the other party and the whole relationship above and beyond anything that either of you have ever had to deal with or experience before. So the good news is that it's about time. This is stuff that you need to know, that you needed to know, that it's very important for your own spiritual growth and healing and evolution. However, it could be very disorienting. And sometimes that happens in love and relationships where you think you've got one thing and then you actually got something else. And that's where people wig out. That's where people jump out of the crucible. Like, I love you, I love you. We intimate, we separate. Oh, yes, yes, that's what Terra Illumination said. Oh, I love you, I love you. And then, wait a minute, this is getting really weird. Oh my God, I'm out of here. Whoa. And then like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where's our love? Where's our relationship? It's just like, it's too much for me right now. It's just like, I don't know what's happening. It's over the top. Oh, that Jupiter Venus thing. Well, wait a minute. We have a relationship. Excuse me. Like, oh, and then you're like, I have to talk to Terra Illumination. Please, I have no idea what's going on here. I feel like I'm swept under with big waves, and I don't know what's happening with intimacy, my love life, my partner. That I don't know what's going on. It's weird. I feel like I'm being shot out of a cannon into outer space, and I'm looking at my whole life like I'm watching a movie of me and them in the relationship. And then Terra Illumination says, good. It's about time we have this kind of perspective. If you feel completely tripped out and weird and disoriented, that would be normal. And then you go, oh, I get it. I get it. I see what you're talking about. Ooh, trippy, man. And then Terra Illumination says, okay, cool. So don't take it too personally. This too shall pass. It's just a very strong dynamic month. So just hope this helps you. All right, Gemini, please. If you need to reach out, there's, you know what to do. Check the links below. Terra Illumination is here. Thank you so, so much. And make the best of this, okay? You know the routine. I explained it all earlier. Bye-bye. January 2019. Okay. All the best. Bye.